Hi guys, Johnny Good here for Real Home Studio. Today, taking a look at SDRR, Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll, the Chameleon Saturation plugin from Klanghelm. And just before we dive straight in, I want to remind you guys, please like, subscribe. If you've got something to say, please do drop it in the comments box below. Okay, so here we are with SDRR from Klanghelm, Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll, the Chameleon, 4 saturation plugins in one. I've used this plugin for a good number of years now. On the desk setting, it's a constant. On my mix bus, it sounds just great. Let me just quickly show you what you get for your money, which I should say with all Klanghelm plugins is a lot. You get really good value for money, great looking, great sounding plugins, and as I say, at really reasonable prices. If you haven't checked Klanghelm out, I'll leave some links in the description below. Absolutely go and check out their plugins. They are superb. So yeah, this is the desk setting. You also get in this plugin this tube saturation, you get digital saturation, fuzz and desk. So pretty cool value for money, 4 in 1. I use the desk setting the most. As I said, I find that kind of the most functional from day to day because it's going to go on my mix bus. I've used the tube quite a lot for vocals. It sounds really, really nice on vocals. And I find the digital and fuzz, I use them more if I'm looking for something creative, looking for some more sort of extreme colour. Then I might reach for those versions too. But as I say, mostly the desk and the tube versions will be the ones I use from day to day. So let me just take you around the basics of this plugin. And the settings and controls do vary a little bit. You'll see as I move through the different versions from version to version, but I'm going to show you around the desk plugin to give you a good idea of how this plugin works. And it might look a little bit more complex than your typical saturation plugin, but once you get the hang of it, it's very, very simple to use indeed. Essentially, you've got 2 knobs at the top here. You've got drive. The more you dial in, the more saturation you're going to get, and your output to compensate for any loss of gain. You have got an auto gain control here, which you can engage if you don't want to do it freehand. And let me just kind of show you how it works. I'll dial it down so don't blow your ears out. Really, essentially, you've got this VU meter here, and you want to get the VU kicking around 0 to optimize the plugin. So that's kind of neat how you can kind of link this plugin in and get it optimized with that VU meter. So let me just show you, this source material here, and I'll just dial that in on the trim. So hitting around 0 there on my mix, and you can see I have compensated already the output around plus 8 dB, which correlates with the trim. So now we know we've got a plugin, working as it should be. We've also got mix controls. You can kind of parallel process this plugin, and you've also got this drift control, which, as I understand it, if you have it on 0, the plugin stays fairly static, if you like, and you get a few more sort of analog surprises as you go fully up to 100%, and it's a little more unpredictable, much like a unit would be in the real analog world. Below the VU meter, we've got 4 knobs, which makes sense for this style of saturation plugin that's going to go on the mix bus. You've got a bass and a treble control, you've got a 1-knob compressor, and you've got a knob which biases towards soft or sharp transients. And on the left and right of those controls flanking, you've got these switches, a stage control, which really flicks between being a more subtle saturation or a more serious saturation, if you like. Again, these are knobs which you might want to just dial this plug in and then have a play around with and see how that color affects the source and see what sounds good to your ears. On the right hand side, you've got a crosstalk control, off, medium or high, and as I remember, crosstalk is originally with tape, how much with left bleeding with right, that kind of stuff. I think you can kind of get some stereo width benefits from that as well. Again, it's a switch which you would want to dial in and see what sounds good on your source material. Okay, so that's kind of a bit of a look around the plugin itself. Let me just let you see what it sounds like. So as always, I've got this plugin on my mix bus, so let's just switch it off. Now here's a really neat touch which I like with SDR. When you want to bypass it, just hit the VU meter and it goes off and cracked. It looks like the plugin's kind of broken. Really nice touch. Tony's got a good sense of humour. There's a few nice little touches throughout his plugins which kind of make you smile. But it's also very, very usable as well, because you can just one touch like you know, just bypass it really quickly. You haven't got to fiddle around looking for where the on-off knob is. I really like that. So let's just switch it off, and I'll switch it on and off. You'll see that really obviously by looking at the VU meter, and just take a listen to the difference with SDRR engaged and not engaged. And you'll no doubt hear a difference of how the mix glues together when you've got this desk setting on, and how it sort of unglues a bit when it's not. Just take a listen. Okay, I'll just show you around some of the controls. Compressor. Obviously you want to be really subtle with this. So yeah, there you go. I think you can hear, you know, certainly before I start playing around with it, the improvement which you can get from SDRR. I mean, it's on the mix bus, so it's a little bit unfair because I am mixing into it from the start of building this mix, so it is going to fall apart a little bit when I take it off. But just kind of want to show you guys that I think it's a great plugin to have right there on the mix bus. Okay, so SDRR now on tube mode. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I really like tube mode on vocals. So I'll just drop this in and out a little bit so you can hear it's just a vocal with a guitar, just like a little demo. So you can take a listen to what it does.
Dig your heels right in, getting out to start again. Where brighter thoughts take you to a lighter place. And hold your head up high. Look how far you've come.
So really nice, I think. Sort of thickens that vocal up. Feels like it comes a little bit more forward in the mix as well. And again, with these controls, of course, we don't now have crosstalk because we're in mono. But with all these other controls, you'll see they're slightly different as they are with each version. You can play around with that. So I'll just play around with it a little bit so you can kind of hear what it does. It gets pretty drivey.
Dig your heels right in, getting out to start again.
So, you know, that kind of effect could be really handy for like indie tracks, strokes kind of stuff, rock, that kind of thing.
Where brighter thoughts take you to a lighter place.
The different stages. Let me just solo this out.
And hold your head up high.
You can really significantly hear those different stages.
And look how far you've come.
Sounds neat, actually.
Dig your heels right in.
Obviously for not this style of music, but again, if you were like doing indie stuff, and I definitely think of the Strokes, this plugin does this really well.
Getting out to start again. Where brighter thoughts take you to a lighter place.
You can bias towards, on this tube version as well, towards whether it attacks the high or the low frequencies as well. I mean, that could be really handy. Obviously depending on your style of your vocalist, but if you say if you whacked on drums, something like that, it could be really handy. And finally, here we are with SDRR in fuzz mode, and I'm thinking fuzz and saturation, I'm thinking rock bass. So let's take a listen to a rock bass soloed, first of all without SDRR engaged. Now let's bring it in. Start dialing in some of that saturation. There you get really nasty. Let's have a listen in the mix. Definitely doing the job. You can see why it's the Chameleon saturation plugin. Those 4 different styles of saturation are really super handy. I should mention as well, there are a whole bunch of decent presets as well, which will really get you started in this plugin. You know, it's really got so many bases covered. You're really getting massive value for money. It sounds just great, whether you're using it you know, on the desk setting, on your mix bus, whether you're using the tube maybe for vocals. You can see using the fuzz setting here works just great on the bass. You've got a whole bunch of different applications you can try out with these different styles of saturation. It's amazing value for money. As I say, it's very reasonably priced. I really love the Klanghelm stuff. He's also offering a bunch of free plugins too. His compressor's just superb also. So if you're interested in Klanghelm, there's going to be a link in the description below. You can go check out the site there and grab a few plugins. I hope you enjoyed that review today. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, but most importantly, guys, make sure you have yourselves a great day.